Eldar or Eldari faction focus for Warhammer 40,000 is now out. And so we have enough information that we can start having ideas about what effective units you should include in your army in 10th edition. I have been playing since Gloriana Recluse this year. It used to be called 1997, but then we had to change it because Games Workshop's legal team marketed the term 1997 as part of Warhammer 40,000. But that was back in 2nd edition. The way Eldar has been played has changed a few times since then. When their 9th edition codex came out, there was one noticeable way I always saw Eldar being played, and I've had 6 different opponents in that time, and only one of them didn't have between 50% and 95% of their army as Wraithguard. Wraiths and Wraithguard seemed to be the way to go, and that one person who didn't have 50% Wraithguard was still packing 15 Wraithguard. They were an incredibly tough infantry unit that could be boosted further with the use of a Farseer, and that one player who was 95% Wraiths only had a Farseer that wasn't a Wraith unit. With Protect and other psychic powers, you could keep the Wraithguard in the fight far longer than otherwise normal, and they were very tough anyway. But we're going to look at what kind of army for the Eldar will be effective in 10th edition. So the faction ability in 10th edition is very similar to their current Strands of Fate ability, except you don't get automatic 6s. You roll 12d6 at the start of the game, you can then mulligan with 1 fewer dice. That is, you reroll all the dice except 1 to try and get a better roll if your roll is rubbish. And you can keep doing this again and again. So they are more like the Battle Sisters Miracle dice, with the exception that you roll once at the start of the battle and can't normally gain any more as the battle goes on. However, there are good reasons to keep the low numbered dice around, because the Farseer allows you to treat one of these that you spend as a 6. So you can keep your units alive, if that's what you so wish, or have an incredibly fast run roll. I mean advance roll. That's something else that's been specifically termed by the Games Workshop rulebook. And although I said you can't gain any more, well, if you have a squad of Guardian Defenders sitting on your home objective, they give you another Fate dice each turn. The Eldar armies of the past have favoured lots of small units, and that won't necessarily work well in this edition, and they may struggle. Large units can have character buffs, as there aren't these auras anymore. You add the characters into the unit, and that gives the support to that one specific unit. So the more models you have in a unit, that's more models that will benefit from the characters conferring special rules. Eldar of all kinds, Dark, Harlequin, and Craftworlds, are very vulnerable to things like the Mechanicus Rad-bombardment, which we saw yesterday, which hits lots of small units. Now that Rad-bombardment is very bad against, well, Necrons, because they have living metal to recover from it, Battle Sisters, because they want to take casualties, because then they will get +1 to hit for all of their injured units. It does basically nothing against Imperial Knights, and how many Genestealer Occult units or Demon units will start in their own deployment zone? People raved about it, but I think it's very weak. Hordes of Tyranids can absorb the losses, Necrons can regrow the losses. It's only really effective on elite armies that use lots of small units, like the Eldar mid. So if you have lots of small units, this style of play would work well with the Eldar attachment that is available, until others arrive with their 10th edition codex. Unparalleled Foresight gives you 1 reroll to hit and wound with each unit. So the more units you have, the more rerolls you're going to get in a turn. The problem then is, how do you keep all of these small vulnerable units safe? Well, one tactic could be to continue as with 9th edition and have a Farseer protect a unit of Wraiths and just keep walking up the battlefield, not caring about most bullets. Well, you get to reroll your shot with a Wraith cannon. Otherwise, bring on a Wave Serpent. The Wave Serpent gives you a portable Doom. So Doom was a psychic power that allowed you to reroll all wound rolls against an enemy unit. Well, if you have a Wave Serpent, then you can have your units get out of the Wave Serpent after it's moved and still be able to shoot. And the enemy unit that you shoot at, you get to reroll all those failed wounds against. So having a transport with Fire Dragons, get out and blow up tanks and other things like heavy infantry. You might want another transport with Dire Avengers. You can shoot after getting out of the transport and blow away a unit of infantry. That was a very effective tactic through until 7th edition. As for the kinds of HQ to include in your army, the Eldar are not particularly big on HQ. They haven't got many options, and unlike Battle Sisters and Genestealer Occult, where the HQ support is very much necessary to keep the army running, the Eldar can survive quite well with only one, so one Farseer should be enough to see you through. So my recommendation from the rules we've seen for 10th edition is to have your army in transports and do a few small units or large blocks, and then we'll see when we get our flank rules how useful it would be to have those large units come on from the sides. As for defending your home objective, I don't think Rangers is the way to go anymore. A small 5-man unit of Rangers can be taken out quite easily. Instead, I would put one 10-man squad of Eldar Guardians on your home objective, and perhaps have a second or third to move up the board and hold the middle field objectives. When it comes to other rules, we haven't seen the exarchs, and I've been looking to find out how they're going to do the 2 separate profiles, if the exarchs are indeed going to have an additional wound and not just different weapon choices. Well, they haven't been shown off, but it may be like this Guardian card, where we can see that there's a separate wound profile for the heavy weapon. Do you like my idea for having a 10th edition Eldar army? Is that how you would field it? Let's see what the comments say. We're running entirely on confirmed information at this point, but I have another video on the rumours for the Imperial Guard, which should be out tomorrow. So until you see me again, my viewers, my darlings, have a great day of 40k.